as Matt was dying, we were around his bed, and we were singing. And that's why I chose a specific song to conclude his funeral. And I don't know if anybody was at Mass today, but the song was, "How Can I Keep From Singing?" And that was the concluding song at Mass today.
Wasn't planned.
And it was not planned. And that's when I know that there is a God, and that he's with us, and that he reminds us that he loves us, and that Matt's here today. So thank you for that reminder. Thank you, Lord. Next up, I want to bring up Kathy, who is the sister of Peggy, who brought them here. I think they had a plan, my mom and dad, to come here, but then Kathy and Rich accelerated that plan by moving here to Tellico. Much at first to my dad's chagrin, but now I think he likes it, though he won't admit it. So Kathy.
Thank you. I'll get to that, don't you worry, Peggy. So, welcome everybody. Most of you know me, but just in case you don't, I am Peggy's older sister. She seems to have this little rivalry because she has all white hair and I still have brown hair. So she wants to make the distinction that she's younger than me. Okay? Now, this is supposed to be a toast, but I decided it could be a roast. So, without further ado, let's see. Okay, so I recall on a cold Minnesota winter day in January, on the 27th day, and I wrote down 1972, and that's wrong?
Right.
73, okay. Well, you know, what can I say? The information gods got it wrong. But that was the day they got married in Paul's hometown of Sleepy Eye, Minnesota. Now, my parents had just moved to Ohio, so Peggy was staying behind, and so they decided to have it in Paul's hometown. And if you don't recognize Sleepy Eye, Minnesota, that is the famous town from the TV series Little House on the Prairie. And so, wow, what a famous place to get married. Now, they were married in a very ornate Catholic church, and Paul's uncle presided over the ceremony, okay? And his name was Father Leo. And then a reception and dance followed with the whole town. Because, you see, when you live in a small town, there isn't anything else to do. So you invite everybody because that's the entertainment. Okay? So, one of my first thoughts that came to mind as I was trying to figure out what to write, I came up with this famous song and this particular phrase. And now my poor nephew Tony has forgotten that he was going to come up here and accompany me, but it's okay. He's ad-libbing and working it out. So the song, just one second. The song that I'm going to play a few lyrics from comes from the famous song "Young at Heart," which actually was written by, now some of you won't have heard of this comedian, Jimmy Durante. Okay? But nowadays, you may have heard of Michael Bublé. So, without ado, he's going to sing the song. Can you get it any louder? Okay.
Fairy tales can come true.
I'm not going to sing. Yeah. Young at heart, okay? So, fairy tales do come true. Peggy and Paul have proved that, okay? So, let's start again. They met and were married when they were ages 19. Not you, Paul, you were 22. And they embarked on their 50-year journey to today. Now, Peggy seems to like these Hallmark movies, you know, these romantic, mushy movies. And so I decided I needed to come up with an example. So I said, you know, fairy tales come true, young at heart, and they love to dance. So they've danced through all these years together, okay? And no, Peggy doesn't get up and dance when the Hallmark movie is on. She refrains herself. Okay, so little did Paul know that he was marrying the famous Betty Crocker Jr. Because Peggy was dubbed that by her father in his wedding toast to them, and it stuck. So now we refer to Peggy as Betty Crocker. And she does have a few of those attributes. She's talented, she can cook, she can bake, and since retiring, she's taken a Quilter of the Year. She was a domestic goddess whose career in the early years of their marriage was raising 4 children. And Paul was in agriculture and was a grain manager at some point in time. In meeting Paul, I would tell you I quickly experienced his wicked sense of humor and being known for a jokester, okay? So we had 2 divergent personalities that met in college and managed to blend their likes and dislikes through endless communication and laughter to offset the different ups and downs they went through. I don't know if you know this, but Paul is part of the Teleco Singers. So I think he must like to sing because he has to practice every Monday for hours on end. Now, and in case you don't know this about Peggy, she loves to talk. and in detail, okay? All right, so I'm almost done. It's only 5 pages long. You can handle this. And when Peggy has a little wine, she begins to tell the family secrets. So it's very interesting. So we're always giving her more and more wine.
Can't wait to let it tell.
Along their 50-year odyssey, they raised the 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl, into adulthood. Sadly, they lost their 3rd child and 2nd son, Matt, when he was only in his early 20s. Peggy and Paul. Okay, now Paul and I went through this, but I don't remember if I got it right. Paul and Peggy lived in 10 houses across 4 states, Minnesota, Nebraska, Iowa, and now the great state of Tennessee. They have chosen Tellico Village as their retirement home to be centrally located to all these kids, grandkids. And there's 9 of them, okay? I'd have them all stand up, but then everything would get chaotic here, so we're not going to do that. Fortunately for them, they found their retirement home across the street from their favorite sister and brother, okay? And Paul and Richard have been paying the price ever since. What did you say? A groan. That was from Paul, because Paul kind of was dragged here, okay? He had to be, persuaded is the word, okay. Fortunately for all of Peggy and Paul's family members, all their kids and grandkids are here today to present a proud and united front. And they represent the success of Peggy and Paul's union of 50 years. As Peggy's parents used to say, when they were dragging us on Sunday nights into the living room to pray the rosary, that's what Catholics did back then, they would say to us, a family that prays together stays together. So, look what's happened. Okay, so on behalf of my parents, that's their legacy to you, and you're now passing it on to your children. So, in closing, I know I'm finally here. In closing, I would like to praise them on their 50 years of marriage and to congratulate them on the devotion that they have demonstrated to each other. Wow, What an accomplishment in today's world. And here's my fake flute of champagne. Cheers.